I talk to you today about identity, Astitva. It is related to character, but it is beyond character. It's related to culture, it's related to society. A child comes into this world pure, innocent, living, breathing, thinking, dreaming. The world hopes for this child to be a constructive, important, wholesome citizen of the world. Is the world giving that child the opportunities it deserves? Is society responsible enough to provide for it as it deserves? Is the cultural ethos one that gives the child every opportunity it deserves, just as others around it are getting? Is there equality? Is there equanimity? Is that child going to become a child that the child hopes to be as an adult? These are the questions that make identity identifiable to a person. I came into this world on November 29th, 1972. I was born to a father who was from Delhi, who was born in Delhi but from a UP family. My mother, also born in Delhi, was from a Punjabi family. They had a love marriage. Their identities came together in a fusion that wasn't very common in those days. But their individuality was such that they were happy together. They were incredible parents. And I came to this world quite free. And I was the third child in the family. I was never put to task. My parents had grown up and evolved. Their identity had become stronger, so they allowed me to breathe and grow as I did naturally. And that evolved for me in a manner that my identity grew. My identity became, I think, a much richer version of who I wanted to be, because the freedoms I got, the opportunities I was given were lavish, much more so than my brother and sister before me had. That is what shaped me into becoming Suvir Saran. My mother also taught me the saying which said, if you your lips could keep from slips, 5 words describe with care, to whom you speak, of whom you speak, how and when and where. And with that, she had given me much to chew upon, much to think about, much to reflect upon, and much to hold very dear to my heart. And as I started searching for my identity, as I started identifying my identity, as I started living my identity, those words, to whom you speak, of whom you speak, how and when and where, they stood by me, they surrounded me, they informed me. And in doing so, they made me Suvir Saran, the man I became. And now we can talk about what else informs my identity. My astitva, my identity. It's a very complex issue because I'm a complicated person. We all are. But who am I? I am Suvir Saran. The name wasn't chosen by me, it was given to me by my parents. But I've grown up into it. I've become Suvir. I am a beautiful, brave warrior, at least I think I am. So I am Suvir Saran. How am I Suvir Saran? Well, I'm a chef, I'm a writer, I'm a dreamer, I float around. That is how I am. I also love to be human. I see humanity in the other. I see life in all living beings, and I value that life. And that is how I am. My identity makes me question, what am I? What is Suvir Saran? Do you do that as well? We all should do. What am I? Yes, I'm a chef. Yes, I write. Yes, I recite. I sing at times. But is it all I am? I'm part of the human collective. I am who I am because there are others who are who they are. And in our collective as humans, and in our collective as beings with life, that together makes us part of the living creatures of this planet. That is also what am I. what I am. What am I? Well, I am part of a larger human story. I'm part of the living story of this planet, of the people, of the lives that inhabit our great grand earth. That also is who I am. That is what I am. Human, living, breathing, thinking with a ticking brain. And I value that in all other beings. When I see them as a collective, when I see all of us, human and non-human, with life and form and shape, as one and equal, I become what I am. My identity would be incomplete unless I question, where am I? Am I a GPS location? Am I just consumed by that? Am I free of it? Do I belong to that GPS location? These are questions that continuously harangue me, elevate me, innovate me, and excite me. When I realize that I'm beyond a GPS location, when I realize that I'm not limited by my geography, it is then that I become more of who I am. A GPS location gives me new hope. It gives me opportunities. It connects me with new others. It makes me think. It makes me reflect. It makes me tick and function, but it does not define me entirely. I can be in one location, but it is another from which I take energy. It is another to which I give energy. I may be in a certain location, but another consumes my thinking time. Another makes me cry, and yet another makes me palpitate. That is where I am. That is where I am not. That too is part of my identity. My identity, my astitva, it makes me question where I want to be. Where do I want to be? Do I want to be alone? Do I want to be inside myself? Am I happy being besides myself? Because sometimes not being in me makes me find a little peace of mind. Because sometimes in me is conflict. Sometimes in me is too much peace, too much quiet, too much solitude. Solitude that deafens me in silence. But inside me often are all the answers I need. Inside me is the sanctum sanctorum of my being. When I connect to it, I find the answers. When I'm one with it, I find myself. When I ache with it, I find harmony and peace. When I dance with it, I'm free of myself in this human form and united with whatever other forms I may be able to take. That is where I want to be. My ascribed identity, my identity as Suvir Saran, born to Sunita and Guru Saran in New Delhi in India, ascribed to me a male form. My being as I grew of age made me into a gay man. I'm Indian. I was born in India in New Delhi. Is that what my ascribed identity is? Yes, because more often than not, when people hear my accent, when they see my name, when they see me write in a certain way, think in a certain manner, they ascribe an Indianness to me. They understand me as being the other in lands outside of India. I've lived in America for 27 years. I lived in India for 20. In America, no matter what I did, I was always the boy from the foreign land, the boy with the accent, the boy with the foreign name, the boy who spoke with a lisp, the boy who was gay. That is my ascribed identity, one I didn't choose. It wasn't something I strove to be. It was given to me by a stroke of birth. That ascribed identity I own, for in not owning it, I'm not who I am. In accepting it, I become more me. And when I'm more myself, I become one with the other. In becoming one with the other, I become completely me. That is my ascribed identity, Suvir Saran, an Indian who lives with the world, sometimes in India, sometimes in other places, but almost entirely always with himself. That is my ascribed identity. My achieved identity. Well, I'm still working hard to find myself. मैं आप अपनी तलाश में हूँ, मेरा कोई रहनुमा नहीं है. वो क्या दिखाएंगे राह मुझको, जिन्हें खुद अपना पता नहीं है. That I myself am looking for me. Who are they to show me the path when they themselves are as lost as me? And that is my identity as I choose for it to be. Because I have not found myself. I'm still on a journey discovering me, discovering the joys I want to appreciate, the joys I want to keep forever. I still am appreciating the damages, the pain, the suffering that has made me a better human being, and I know there are more to come still. But in those moments, the good, the bad, and the ugly, I become the more complete version of myself. And that search to be more full, more fulfilled, more Suvir, and more Suvir as Suvir wants him to be. That search continues, and in that search, I keep finding the identity I want for myself. I'm far from complete. I'm far from broken. In my beautiful bits and bobs, in my broken bits and bobs, in their togetherness, and in their complete unison, I find me living, breathing, thriving, surviving, celebrating all at once. And that too is my identity, and the one I have chosen, found, discovered, and owned for myself. So you now know where I was born. You know what I think of myself. You know where I am, who I am. But we haven't talked about being born again. In 2019, things happened that I had to leave my chosen home, New York City, and arrive in New Delhi, the home of my birth. And that exchange made me Suvir Saran, born again. And we have the ability in our identity, in our character, which is related to our identity, to come of age, again, to be born again. And what happened was that I lost what I had, but I gained what I never knew I could have had again. And then arriving in Delhi, in being a kid who was sleeping next to his mother, taking care of himself, an adult boy being cared for by an older mother, I realized how lucky I was. The possibilities that life had, the opportunities that come when you least expect them. A grown mother caring for a grown son. What could be more challenging for the identity of a young man? I was nearly 50. My mother was in her mid-70s. And here we were, child and mother, together. I slept in her bed, cared for by her, brought alive through her hard work, and all of that touched my heart. I forgot that I belonged to America, that my home was in New York City. My identity became Suvir Saran, son of Sunita Saran, cared for by that mother, nourished by New Delhi, a city that I knew as a young kid, that I had abhorred as a young man, but today as an adult, I again loved again. And that enriched my identity. It fed my soul. It gave me food for fodder to think. It made me tick. It made me breathe. It made me one with the world in ways I'd never imagined. And here I am in 2021 talking to you about identity, having enriched my identity by a stroke of birth that I was born to as Suvir, but then by a mini stroke that made me a newer version of Suvir. A version that I hope to the end sake keeps me alive, thriving, happy, because I have grown to enjoy this new me as well. So identity keeps changing, keeps churning. Identity should evolve, just as we do in other aspects of our life. I'm grateful that 2019 happened. I arrived in New Delhi in the care of my mother, sick. But as she made me happy and healthy, I learned that I'm like an elastic. Stretch me, I grow with me. Stretch me further, I grow further. We can all evolve. Our ascribed identity doesn't have to be our real identity. Thank you for listening to me. Now go find yourselves as I keep finding newer versions of myself.